Hello Yates County and beyond. Welcome back to another episode of Invasive Species Friday. Through this short weekly podcast, we at the Yates CCE hope to bring you information about the invasive species you may see around this county. We are pinching our noses with this week's invasive, brown marmorated stink bug. Accidentally imported into eastern Pennsylvania from Japan, China, or Korea, the brown marmorated stink bug was first found in the U.S. in 1998. It has since spread throughout eastern and western North America. This insect feeds on a variety of plants and can cause serious damage to fruit, vegetables, and field crops. In the winter, they make their way indoors, where they become a smelly nuisance, but are not generally dangerous as they can't bite. In some cases, allergic reactions, specifically runny noses and watery eyes, may occur in people who are sensitive to the bug's odor. A small percentage of the population may also develop contact dermatitis if the insect's defensive liquid gets on their skin. Typically, the brown marmorated stink bug has one generation a year, but favorable weather conditions could allow for a second generation. Adults who emerge in late April to mid-May lay clusters of small, faint green eggs on the backside of leaves between May and August. Females must feed for 2 weeks after they emerge before they can mate, but each year they can lay over 400 eggs. The small black and red nymphs hatch and begin to grow, going through 5 instar stages or molts before reaching adulthood. In September and October, the adults begin to search for sites to overwinter. It's important to seal cracks in your home that may allow the stink bug to make its way indoors. Otherwise, you may be dealing with the stinky invader all winter. If you do find them around your house, there are traps that work with varying degrees. Vacuuming live or dead stink bugs works, but their smell may contaminate the vacuum. Hence, prevention is the best bet to deal with these guys inside. The brown marmorated stink bugs are not the only stink bugs in the US. There are even some native varieties in New York that resemble the invasive. The brown marmorated is about the size of a US dime and is mottled brown on top and bottom. They're shield-shaped like other stink bugs, but can be distinguished by looking for lighter bands on their antennae and legs and a pattern of white and dark bands on the rear edge of the abdomen. Many native stink bugs have similar dark and light colors on the edge of the abdomen, but the pattern varies by species. The native brown stink bug is one such species. If you can see the underside of the insect, the brown stink bug is yellowish-green, while the brown marmorated is a brown-gray. The shoulders of the marmorated are very rounded compared to many other species in the US. The brown shoulders are more pointed, and the bands on its antenna are yellow and harder to see. The dusty stink bug's shoulders are more pointed, like the brown stink bug, and when adults, they're smaller than the marmorated. One-spotted stink bugs have very pointed, orange-tipped shoulders that resemble thorns, and the males have a dark spot on their underside. All of these native species are in the genus Euschistus. Stink bugs in the Brachypena genus, commonly called rough stink bugs, are more uniformly brown and typically appear rougher and flatter than the marmorated. If you can get a close-up view of the rough stink bugs, they have a tooth-shaped feature on each side of their face and a row of spines along their shoulder. There's also a few non-stink bug insects that resemble the brown marmorated. The spined shoulder bug has sharp shoulders, reddish antennae, and a thicker and shorter nose segment. They're predators, so instead of eating plants like the stink bugs do, they eat other bugs, sometimes even the brown marmorated. Finally, the leaf-footed bugs, or conifer seed bugs, occasionally get mistaken for stink bugs as they have a vaguely shield-shaped body. However, they're much longer than they are wide, making them look like a stink bug that was stretched. They also have thicker back legs than their front 2 sets, while stink bug legs are relatively identical. The last thing we want to cover with this week's invasive is the impact the brown marmorated stink bug has on agriculture. Both the nymphs and the adults have piercing, sucking mouth parts they use to feed on leaves and fruit. They inject digestive enzymes into the plant to help them extract more nutrients. This results in localized necrotic or dead and dying tissue. As the rest of the fruit grows, it becomes distorted and deformed, a characteristic called cat-facing, and ultimately renders the crop largely unmarketable. Crops at highest risk for damage include apples, beans, peppers, sweet corn, and tomatoes. Blueberries, asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, and cucumber are among the crops at moderate risk. In some cases, like in grapes, stink bugs can act as contaminants, ruining the product when an infestive cluster is picked and pressed. And with that, we reach the end of this week's episode of Invasive Species Friday. Next Friday, we'll be looking at a fiery fall wonder. Until then, we at the Yates CCE thank you for tuning in and supporting our fight against invasive species in Yates County.